Hysteria has been studied for centuries, okay? And it originally began with the Greeks. And they believed that hysteria was a disease of the uterus or a disease of the womb. Essentially, only women could suffer from hysteria. The cure, they needed to have intercourse with the man. Odd, I know, crazy, absolutely. Fast forward. Now you have hysteria being studied as a reason for us to be able to do the Salem witch trials. Women are indeed hysterical. And in order for us to be able to get them under control, we have to be able to cater towards the softer side of them. You fast forward, and then we as a scientific community evolve to then believe and include the possibility that men can also suffer from hysteria. However, hysteria still broadly is something that only women suffer for. Now, when you think about hysteria and the definition and application of hysteria, you come to the realization that we no longer utilize hysteria as a reason for uncanny attitudes towards specific things, okay? Or a reason to identify someone as being fragile. Instead, we have rebranded this. And by we, I mean white people have rebranded hysteria and made it white fragility. Follow me, there's somewhere that I'm going. So when you're talking about white fragility, there is a book that is actually written about this. Robin DiAngelo is the author, and she is somebody that has been putting on conferences and conversations about racial, sociological interactions for over 2 decades. She defines white fragility as the defensive responses, the full range of emotions that white people feel when it comes down to their understanding of race being questioned and their implication of participation in racism or in white supremacy. Okay. Now, fragility is something that is weaponized, and it is also something that white people partake in order to victimize themselves to be able to skirt responsibility. What do I mean? Well, when it comes down to the unarmed killing, the killing of unarmed people of color, the main defense that's presented is fear. So this particular person, who is a trained person, who also has a weapon, says that they see a person who is not armed and they are therefore fearful. Okay. Now, Tori, how does fragility go into this? Because white people have been deemed as fragile in comparison to specifically Black people, it allows for there to be a relatability to someone being afraid of the mere sight of a Black person, as opposed to them seeing and developing a sense of fear when it comes down to them seeing a white person that is armed. Not only that, it also creates this notion of relatability. Okay. Now, it's very interesting the way that the sociology of white people work. White people are the only ethnic group that is able to partake in being a part of a collective while also identifying individualistically. Okay. And why is this a problem? It is a problem because data and statistics show that the majority of those people responsible for mass shootings, mass unalivings, rape, as well as being serial killers, is one demographic of people. That is, in fact, white people. However, they have also been able to partake in this narrative that causes the general public to not be afraid of this demographic every single time that they see them. Whereas on the flip side, you have those that are a part of the minority culture that when seen, they are immediately identified by their stereotypes of the whole. Why is this a problem? It's a problem because when you're in a situation like we are right now, where you have an administration that is targeting a marginalized group of people, you find that particularly white people say things like, I can't imagine, insert whatever the atrocity is, or dealing with whatever the atrocity is. This is indeed a vestige of white fragility. And this is why it's not helpful. It's not helpful because inadvertently, as a white person, you have just caused yourself to not be able to identify with a general human experience. And therefore, when you have someone like Trump, who says that he's going to do all of these things to a marginalized group of people, you immediately remove yourself subconsciously, sometimes consciously, from the possibility of these outcomes affecting you. Furthermore, you also have this type of fragility being weaponized in that there is a withholding of information from white people and a rebranding of atrocities and stigmas to be able to cater to their sensibilities and their sensitivities. Tori, what do you mean? Well, even here on this app, there are certain words that you are not able to say, even though that is exactly what it is. And research shows that for children, when you teach them their anatomical body parts, if you use pseudonames instead of the actual name, those children are more susceptible to those who target them to take advantage of them because of the mere fact that you do not call a spade a spade. And so now what you currently have is you have this current platform that has a new way of being able to censor information. And this new way of censoring information that they have is that they will restrict the reach of videos that seem to be too emotionally heavy and causes discomfort. Now, Robin DiAngelo points out one of the ways that white people try to get away from white fragility is to get out of an uneasy situation. This current administration has produced a climate of uneasy situation. And all of the comments that I have seen and I have in the videos that I have been seeing circulating shows a particular dynamic of people that is searching for a way out to get out of this uncomfortable area. If you are a person of color, if you are a Black person, you are used to being uncomfortable on a daily basis. And so this is why you have the 92% that is able to sit in this type of uncomfortability, because we are used to doing it. Now, I want white people to be able to understand that you are currently being targeted because you do not like to be uncomfortable. This is something that Donald Trump is aware of. And the way that white people adapt to be able to withstand discomfort is to either move from it or they insulate themselves in a way that causes them to find comfort within the discomfort. So yes, there are people within the establishment, such as the legislature and such as the judiciary, that knows that a lot of these things are wrong. But they are not going to stand up because they are not used to having to survive underneath the pressure that will persist in order for them to fight back. And this is very important. Because while there are people that are on this app that are trying to give insight and information to be able to give hope, but also to be able to identify the ways that we are being divided and being tricked, there is a censorship that is occurring to insulate the knowledge of white people by essentially saying you are too fragile to handle the truth. May I encourage you to do the work necessary to learn how to withstand in discomfort, because we are in an uncomfortable place, but also do the work necessary to create tougher skin so that when you do see marginalized group of people enduring undue hardship, you look at them and you say, imagine if I went through that, as opposed to, I could never imagine.